Welcome to Rickshaw Scale Modelling. This is part 4 of the Hawker Typhoon Airfix kit, scale 1 to 24. On part 3 I dealt with the fuselage and wing, predominantly painting the invasion stripes and putting the fuselage onto the main unit. I hope you enjoy this next part. Okay, so let's go on with part 4. So to make up the other side of the fuselage, just in the airframe, I took some plastic art, painted it silver, then took a ruler, measured out 3mm per slat, and I'm just cutting along the edge of the metal ruler to make up various slats to put in. So now that I've cut up the slats, I'll go back to the tail, and you can see that the visual stripes are done. Now that is quite contoured the bottom, and there's a lot of lumps and bumps you have to put your tape over, but again it worked out really well, so I'm just painting in the bottom grey colour now. Once you're happy with the bottom part of the fuselage, it's a simple case of gluing it up, and you have to be careful again putting this on. It can easily go out of alignment and you can end up with gaps that you would have to fill in. I did have a couple of little gaps I had to fill in. I found the only way you can really attach is just by holding it in position until you get a good bond. So now the bottom part's on, and as I said before, I had a little bit of a problem. I had to sand down the joint, had it slightly out of alignment, and fill a little bit. So that's what I had to do. Onto the airframe structure now. These are the small slats that I'm putting in. I can't turn the model around to show you because it would be too difficult to work on it. But I take those slats, create a curve and a bend in them, and then put small amounts of glue on each point of the ridges inside the fuselage and fit them in. So that's it all done. As you can see there, that's the slats going up and curving around into the fuselage. I done the same with the tail fin, same principle, and I put supporting beams over onto the slats as well. Onwards onto the exhaust ports now. These were painted in the aluminium cover and weathered with the burnt orange and burnt blue. I'd already put on one side, as you can see there, just so that you can see it as I'm putting on the other side. And there's just a couple of little location points you put in, and they just slot right in. So as you can see, that's them going in nicely, and it helps if you use a pair of tweezers to put them in, and you can see the 3 in there and hold the rest onto the main fuselage. Onto the air vent cowling now, and this is the first part going on, which is right next to the wing. This is where you'll find out if you put the wing in proper alignment. I didn't. I had a bit of a problem fitting this. In the end, I did get it done, and again there was a tiny little gap which I had to fill in. So as I said, I did have problems with this cowling. I'd taken it off and on by this point a couple of times, and I finally managed to get it to line up. I decided not to show you that part because it was a mess, and I wouldn't have added anything to the video anyway. So this is it going on now. I had to clean up the edges and put it on. There was some slight adjustments still had to be made when I put on the next part. So as I turn it around, you can make out the area that it went on to. So for the next part of the cowling, that part there, I decided to cut it down the centre, the same way I did with the wing. Just marked it down, pulled my knife through until it came apart, and that was because, again, it's half and half. There was no particular reason for doing it that way. So just painting the camouflage bits onto it before I put it on. Next step was the tail wing, and I just said before, I'd already painted the base colours on. So just moving on to the camouflage, painted the exact same way as I did the wing. So just marking the area that I want the green to go into, and then just filling it in. And once you're happy with your one colour, go on to my next colour. I did change this in the end. I didn't like the splotch of green. I made it smaller, but that's later on. So the same again on the tail wing flap, just marrying it up where I would put the camouflage and painting it in. Once it's all dry, time to assemble, and simple case. There is a worth noting that there's points where you don't put any of your cement. That's so you can free move the flap. As I said, I wasn't happy with the camouflage, so I decided to repaint it. So just putting the base colour back over, and then I'll repaint the new camouflage in. And once the base colour is dry, go back onto the green and just paint in my new camouflage. Now I think this pattern works a little bit better than the last one. So now that I'm happy with the camouflage and it's all dry, it's time to put the wing on. So it's just about a small amount of glue onto the points there, and then slipping it into the location area. And you just have to hold it for a few seconds until it bottoms. It's a very tight fit, so no clamps were needed. While the wing is dry, I'm moving on to the covers for the animation and weapon system. If you remember in the previous video, I did that one but decided to go against it and have them in the open position. So it's just a matter of repainting the invasion stripes onto the new parts before I install them. So because it's a small area, the invasion stripes didn't take long. I just married the part up to the wing, made small marks with a pencil and put some tape over for the white. Then when I moved on to the black, I decided to do it freehand because it was such a small area, and it saved a lot of time as well. Back onto the tail, and this is the rear part of the tail, the rudder movement, and obviously Airfix didn't expect you to build the quick kit in the way I did. So I'm having to scratch build more airframe. So again, it's just strips of plastic card and 1mm thick. 1mm thick. I cut them off, painted them, and then cut them to size and placed them inside the tail fin. So once all the sections were cut, I painted them in the aluminium and weathered them up with using the burnt orange, and started measuring them up to place in. So it was a simple case. I just married them up to the area I want to put them in, a little bit of glue, cut into size and placing them in so they're standing upright. So before I'm ready to put them in, I'll just weather up the actual tail rudder part, and again it's aluminium with the weather pigments for the orange, and a little bit of gunmetal as well I used, going over on silver to give it a metallic look. As you can see, I'm starting to achieve the effect that I want, just layering it on thinly and progressively until I'm happy with the look. Coming to the end of building the framework inside the tail there, and as you can see, it's a simple process. Moving on now to the animation cover and gun cover. Once it's all dry, these are going to be in a concentrated position, so it's just a matter of gluing the parts at an angle. There's little ridges where is designed to do this. So just find the angle that you're happy with and lay them on. I've achieved the angle that I would like for the covers, so I'm just putting on the glue and making sure that I'm not putting any excess glue on, so it smears over onto the paintwork, and then just gently lay it on. Don't apply too much pressure, let the glue do the work on this. Take slightly longer to dry because you're just laying it on, not putting any pressure on, but it does work. So that's the covers on. Just make sure the angle's not too acute, because you do have to get the flap on as well. Before I put the rudder on, again it's a case of painting the camouflage on. I always prefer to do it in this stage instead of putting it onto the kit then painting. I find the angle is easier. So just put it on where you think is best. I'm ready to put the rudder on now. 2 little points to glue onto. There is a point where it says don't put any cement on it if you want to move it. I decided to have it completely rigid. It's now time to extend the airframe of the wing and making an airframe for the rear wing. I utilised some parts of the kit that I'm not going to be using, particularly the struts that hold the weapon on the wing, which I won't be using on the open wing. I just measured them up and got them to size. So once I'm happy with the length, I took the parts and I left some parts on, like those little grooves there. That was just going to help with putting in the supporting struts. My initial contact point there worked well. There is a groove where the wingtip would have been glued onto that you can utilise to put your first support in. Took a little bit of cleaning up to do, just sizing it up. Just be careful if you decide to go down that route. You want to get them fairly even and the best possible position to start building your framework on. Now the parts have been cut, I'm ready to place it on. I'm just using anything at hand to stable the kit while I put it on. So a little bit of glue and press it into the groove that would have held the wingtip, and just placing it on. Try and get to the right angle. You don't want it to be drooping. And once that part's on and you're happy with it, move on to your next strut and marry it in onto the frame, and that should give you a bit of rigidity. So again, just a bit of glue on your contact points. Again, be careful. Now I decided to build it this way instead of building it on the bench and then putting it on. I thought this way would be easier to get the exact angle that I want. I don't know whether it was in the end, but that's how I built it. Once it's in place and drying for a few minutes, now's the time to put in the support struts. Again, put them where you want to put them, but as I said, I left these little bits of plastic on just to hold the support struts in place. And it also helps if you put in some diagonal cross beams as well on the actual joints to give it rigidity. As you're going along and you're putting in the support struts, the whole thing becomes more stable. Make sure it's completely dry before you move any support strut items that you're supporting the wing on, before you move it. Well, that brings part 4 to a close. Thank you all very much for watching. Feel free to leave any comments below. Next up will be part 5, or you can check out all the other parts. But for now, bye bye.